my colleague Philip Namfori, Joy Business Analyst and Researcher. Thanks for your time tonight.
Thank you,
and so this is not the first time we are having to talk about the high interest rates and all of that. It's come up time and again, especially when we see the policy rate go down. And so for the president to speak about this should mean that it's really a serious issue for the business community.
Yes, Darryl. Since as far back as 1970, during the time of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, there was an attempt to halt interest rates at a certain point, and we called it the interest rate ceilings. And this was as a response of people complaining about high interest rates. So this debate goes as far back as that time. But even at that time, there was a move. In fact, there was a cap of the interest rate, and it led to what we call financial repression. There was a total mess, and there was chaos in the financial system. So I don't think we want to look at capping it ever again. Kenya tried it just recently, and as at yesterday, their parliament overturned that decision for a capping to free up space, because there are negative implications for capping interest rates in an economy. So high interest rates is a problem for businesses, because credit flows are a means of propping up businesses in an economy, and you know the ripple effects it has on the economy.
Yeah. Okay, and so we've had the banks also say that when they are considering whether or not to revise interest rates, it's not just about when the policy rate goes down. There are other factors that contribute to the decision as to where to peg their interest rates at. Realistic argument?
Yeah, so there was a time where banks used to use a model called the base rate model, where they have several factors for determining base rates. Some of it includes their costs, the cost of deposits, their loan loss provisions, what we call the non-performing loans. So they'll factor it into the cost of credit before they look at other external macroeconomic indicators. Now, Bank of Ghana realized that this is causing a problem. So in April 2018, together with the Ghana Association of Bankers, they developed what we call the Ghana Reference Rate, GRR, to offer a market-based approach to lending rates. So this Ghana Reference Rate has three factors: the monetary policy rate, the 91-day bill treasury rate, and the interbank lending rate. So these three are supposed to determine interest rates in the economy. Now, at that time, I believe when the governor was asked, he said it would take some time for it to really kick in and affect. As we speak, as of June 2019, average interest rates from the commercial banks are about 27%. They've come down from the highs of 30, 31, but these are the average numbers. So if you can go to a bank specific and you'll be doing more than the 30, 31 at that time. But it's come down marginally. But you see, there are other things that we need to look out for. Are the banks struggling in synchronizing this Ghana reference rate into their system, into their books? We can explore. I think that's what the president says, uses the word interrogate. We also look at the stock of non-performing loans and how they affect what the banks are churning out. But however, fresh loans shouldn't have these high interest rates. But you know, there has been a stock of loans as far back. So if we are measuring all loans out there, then those rates will feed into it. But fresh loans should carry some lower rates. However, the banks are supposed to add a premium to this Ghana reference rate that comes out. And Ghana reference rate is about 16% averagely. So if you add a premium of 3, 4, 5%, that should put you at 20, 21. But as to why it's going up, that's why I'm sure the president is calling for the government to interrogate.
And so what would we consider an appreciable rate, seeing that the president is calling for the rates to come down? And does it make any difference that the president is asking for the rates to come down?
Okay,
I mean,
so
what sort of pressure does it put on the central bank?
Okay, so the central bank in principle is supposed to be autonomous. They are supposed to gauge the macroeconomy and see where things will go. So if they feel these rates are essential for the economy, they can. The president can speak as the president, but in a properly functioning economy, the central bank should not heed. You know what happened with Donald Trump and then the Fed chair, Jerome Powell? There were calls all the time for him to cut rates. The Fed is not doing well, but they stood their ground. Exactly, they stood their ground and did what they must do. So we must also look at it. That's why I'm sure it's just a call. Bank of Ghana interrogate, look at it and see how we can solve this problem. But you still not answered
the question as to what is the appreciable rate?
Appreciable rate, it will depend on the market at that time. Forces of supply and demand will determine what we determine as an appreciable level of interest rates. Some want to peg it to lending to government at 14% 91-day bill, so that will be a benchmark. But if you follow government's yield curve, that should give you a signal of when we're moving from 91-day bill up to even our 5-year bonds and notes, how the interest rates are working there. We can use that to measure how lending rates should be in an economy, all things being equal.
All right. Philip Namfori, as always, thanks for your perspective on this matter. We'll continue the conversation in the Joy Business Newsroom. Perhaps break it down. Thanks for your time tonight.